expectations and the reactions hasn't been rationalized yet, and it will take some time. Let us give it 1 week to 10 days max, because with respect to Article number 660 in the interim constitution that was issued by the SCAF, it gives the society 15 days to discuss the draft of the constitution before it goes back to the constitutional committee to take or to revisit all the articles and take into consideration all the comments that were issued by civil societies. So the reaction will take some time. However, yesterday some of the members in the constitutional committee has been on TV explaining the articles, explaining the essence behind each and every article, and this is good, and it's taking time. It's taking time, but let us give it 1 week to 10 days to test waters and just see how the wind is going. Is it going forward or backward for repetition of the Constitution?
Sir, Al-Ahram newspaper reported that Dr. Mohammed Mahzoub announced that the Constitution now, the final draft, is in its final stage, to be sent to constitution professors and law professors for getting their feedback or their opinion regarding it. And also there has been an announcement that there are going to be public conferences across the nation to, as you said, test the waters and see how the wind is going and see the people's opinion regarding the new constitution. How do you see this despite all the divisions among everyone?
Okay. First of all, Dr. Mahzoub yesterday went to a press conference. I'm confirming what you just said. And he said a draft of the Constitution, it's not the final draft. Actually, it's a draft for discussion only, for discussion purposes, if we may say.
He said it's in the final stage.
It's in the final stage, of course, because the beef of the Constitution is done. The most 5 controversial articles has been done and agreed upon with various parties, starting from the extreme left to the extreme right. So, with respect to that, Dr. Mahzoub said that he will be sending, actually, he on the behalf of the Constitutional Committee, of course, will be sending this draft for the constitutional professors, for law professors, economists, and political science professors. People who have the know-how, people who can criticize, in order to have as much as they can agreement, social agreement, on the Constitution itself.
You mean consensus?
Exactly, exactly. Actually, this is the right word. Actually, I was looking for that word.
Yeah.
Great. So that's one thing. Second thing, the members of the Constitutional Committee, for instance, Mr. Abu al-Madi, who's the vice president, one of the vice presidents, one of 3 vice presidents of the Constitutional Committee, yesterday was giving a lecture in, I believe, Cairo University. Sam Sultan was giving a lecture in Alexandria University, and so forth. So they're just giving a lecture about the Constitution in the initiative which was called Know Your Constitution. Because it's really hard. Let us think about the layman in the street, and the man who just goes to work in the morning and back home. Maybe he sits with on a cafe with
the ordinary citizen.
Exactly. They don't know about the Constitution. They cannot access the internet to check the website of the Constitutional Committee. They cannot go to Facebook to start debates. Even they don't use social media, or they don't watch media that much. So you have to go to those people. And this is the obligation of the Constitutional Committee. They have to go to those people. They have to get the agreement of those people on this Constitution, because
and know their concerns as well.
Exactly, exactly. I personally have many concerns of the Constitution.
Me too.
From my point of view. Of course, of course, of course. And actually, this is the essence of the democracy, the democratic atmosphere we're living now. If you remember, in 2007, the updates on the Constitution that took place by Mubarak's regime at that time, no one agreed upon. Even no one went to a referendum for voting. Some people went, yet this was not a real movement in the society. Now we have the chance to build our country. We have the chance to have a saying. And I have experienced this myself. The Constitutional Committee members suggestions. I have suggested many points. It has been taken into consideration, not in the Constitution, of course, but just comments and so forth. They listen, they take notes, and that's good. And that's good. Of course, we see in the media some people who don't agree, because guys, Salafis, liberals, seculars, Muslim Brotherhood guys, and some other parties from the left to the right, each and every one has his own ideology. But what makes them sit together is they agree on the same goal.
But it seems that a lot of concerns from liberals, I suppose, or any other faction other than the Islamic sort of parties, have concerns that they're not included in the Constitution, and it feels like the Constitution represents only
not included
one.
In the Constitutional Committee, or not included in the Constitution itself?
Constitution itself. They feel like they've been excluded, and they feel like the Constitution represents one faction of society, but not all of society.
Okay, the first full draft I have seen of the Constitution was yesterday at night, which was issued. I got it, and I've been through it into details. It's 232 articles. It's 47 pages, and I haven't seen that. Some of people who used to go on media and talk, we call them the elite politicians or the elite people in the society. They go on the media, on talk shows and so forth, and they talk about the Constitution, and they haven't seen the draft. I have seen the draft. I have comments, but not with respect to citizenship, for instance, not with respect to the identity of the country, not with respect to human rights. I have some concerns on the economic articles with respect to the economy. I have some concerns.
You're an economic expert, so you see it from your own point of view, and that's the problem. I'm a woman, so I'm going to see it from a female or a feminist point of view.
Tell me what you don't like.
Well, to be very honest with you, I'm very much concerned about the status of women in the new constitution, and I'm really alarmed by the representation of women in the constituent assembly.
This I agree with you on. I totally agree, because the representation of women is very poor, and 50%
and this would not
45% of this society is constructed of women. I totally agree on this point. But let us agree on something. Is all parties in society represented in the Constitutional Committee? Most of them, not all of them, but most of them are. And there is this rumor that Islamic parties have dominated the Constitutional Committee, and this is not true, even by numbers. I do care about numbers. 50% has been allocated to Freedom and Justice Party and Noor Party, which is the Muslim Brotherhood Party and Salafis Party, and the rest for civil parties and so forth. But 41 seats only has been taken by a Muslim Brotherhood and Salafis Party. So you have 59 chairs taken by other parties. And this is, in fact, what's on board. But sometimes the media doesn't show that. Even this is not the right representation of the society.
Well, I'm sorry, you're asking me about my concern.
Yeah.
If I have a member in the Constituent Assembly who's discussing the marriage age of girls, of minor girls, this is a huge alarm for me. Even if it's only one person discussing this and he wants to legalize that girls should marry at a very early age, this is deeply alarming.
Actually, I will recount Mr. Amr Musa's words about this point specifically. He said, I never had this been discussed inside the Constitutional Committee. Like, actually, yes, this is the media. They can direct you. He haven't heard that. And even in the People's Assembly, when it was on board, before it was dissolved by the SCAF, our beloved SCAF, when the People's Assembly was on board, they said that they're discussing if you can have love with your dead wife. This hasn't been done. This hasn't been ever discussed. Being
raised is alarmed.
Actually, it was not raised. It was raised in the Moroccan parliament. But a very well-known, renowned, notorious newspaper issued that.
Yes. Well, anyway, there are deeply alarming issues to everyone.
And we have to agree. We have to disagree.
Yes. It's natural, but
exactly.
I just wish we had more time to discuss this with you. This would have been a very heated debate. Me and Riham, we had so many questions for you, but unfortunately we have to wrap it up here because the French transmission is going to take over and they have the news in few moments.
That's great.
But thank you very much, Dr. Yahya, for coming today.
Thank you
for being with us. Joining us.
We do hope we have a chance, another chance to talk more details. Perhaps the picture would be more clearer for everyone by then.
Of course.
But thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Riham, for being with us this morning.
It was a pleasure, it really was.
And thank you.